So thank you for the warm welcome. And I didn't realize this was on live feed. So, hi, Mom. She can't watch. She doesn't have the internet anyway, so, you know. But, so on Friday, I traveled here to Halifax, and I was waiting at the airport, and while I was waiting for my delayed flight, I got a text message from Father Simon and Father Ken, and they had arrived at the house in Ottawa where I live, and they sent me a message and a text picture, and I guess they decided to go into the freezer of the fridge and take a picture of an unopened bag of coffee beans. They know that I'm a coffee connoisseur and all that, and the text message said, "Look what I found." I said, "Knock yourself out. They belong to the general superior of the community, so they're not mine." So, yeah, so I don't know if you heard or not, Father Brian here was pulled over by the police there, and the officer was about to write Father Brian a ticket for speeding, and Father Brian is just beside himself. He says, "Officer, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." And the police officer signed the ticket and handed it to Father Brian and said, "Father, go and sin no more." So I just want to be very clear, this is a joke. This didn't really happen. He didn't get pulled over. He did not get pulled over. Okay, anyway, I think I got that clear. He's actually a very conscientious driver, so just letting you know. So Hollywood makes many feel-good movies, and I think they're what we would call success stories. And basically a movie where there's a dilemma, there's a hero, and there's a solution. And there's many movies like this, right, where all that is taking place. And oftentimes, I don't know if we see it or not, but the whole aspect of Christ's birth, his life, his death, his resurrection is one big success story. Where all this is mixed in, right? And so for my purpose this morning, I just want to, obviously we're leading into Christmas, so I just want to look at the success story of the birth of Christ and a couple of the events that precede that. So what makes up a success story? Well, there's an initial situation, there's a challenge, there's a solution, there's a hero, and there's a happy ending. And all those ingredients go into it. And I just briefly, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I use the movie Schindler's List. I know some of you won't have seen that, but the basic thing in that is the initial situation is it's World War II, and Hitler is exterminating Jews. And the challenge in this movie is that there's a German man named Oskar Schindler, and he wants to make money during the war, and he needs people to run his factory. And so there's the challenge. The solution is that he takes in Jewish people, and hires them for his factory. In the story, the hero is Oskar Schindler, and the happy ending is that he saves many innocent lives in the end and gives them a future. So there you go. A success story. What about the birth of Christ? What's the initial situation? Humanity's very broken. Separated from God, needs forgiveness. What's the challenge? The challenge is to convince the people of the time that this baby that's born in a cave is the Messiah. The one who will save people from their sins, right? He will usher in a new era of peace and grace and And the challenge is to convince the people to give their hearts to this Messiah, to give their lives to this Messiah. That have people surrender themselves to this Messiah. So what's the solution? Well, God begins the process of healing and conversion and saving people from their sins by becoming a baby, by becoming human. And he announces, preceding this, to a teenager, Mary, that she'll become the mother of God. She'll conceive miraculously in her womb. And so on and so forth. She says yes to that. She says, yes, I'll do that, whatever it takes. And so she does. So she conceives Jesus in her womb. And then she learns of her cousin Elizabeth, who is up in years, who is also, and barren, who also conceives. So she goes and, as we hear today, visits her and spends a number of months with her, helping her out till John is born, John the Baptist, right? And so in all of this, as the solution, God launches a new covenant which says, from now on, I am yours, and you are going to be mine. Who's the hero? Well, the hero, as we know, is the Lord himself, Jesus, right? And no one knows he's a hero, though. No one knows. He comes in. He comes in as a little baby. It's like, who's going to suspect that he's a hero? No one. But yet, who in all this story thinks that, well, maybe there is a hero here? Well, it's Herod, right? So what does Herod do? He has all the firstborn males slaughtered, right? It's because he suspects something. But the general public, it's like, I don't have a sniff. The happy ending is that Jesus is born and begins the process of shepherds already visiting him and turning their hearts to the Lord. The angels from heaven sing on high, glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to people of goodwill, and so on. Mary and Joseph are in awe. There's animals coming to adore the Lord. They're in awe too. A success story for sure. But you know what separates this success story from all other ones that Hollywood puts on? Is that you're part of it. I'm part of it. You make it a success story. I make it a success story by accepting the challenge. And do you remember what I said the challenge was? The challenge was for the Lord to convince his people that he is the Messiah, the Lord of all things, the God of all things, and that we are to turn our lives, our hearts, our souls, our beings, our minds, our families, our joys, our sorrows, our struggles, whatever it is, to him. That's the challenge. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But how many of us do that? How many of us do that? Christmas happens pretty fast, doesn't it? Tuesday will come and Tuesday will go in a flash. Look back at Christmas 2017. How many of you remember Christmas 2017? At least you might remember like your meal, I don't know, but you might remember a gift you received. But what spiritually do you remember? What spiritually do you remember? Sadly, I'll admit I don't remember much. I know I said Mass. But I vow that this year will be different. And I want to be part of this success story. The Lord relies on us to make it successful. Otherwise, it's just a nice event, right? And I think that in this process, he doesn't want us to leave this preparation until Christmas Day. And the reason I say that is, if you need a turkey on Christmas Day and you haven't bought one, what are your chances of getting one? Pretty nil, isn't it? if you leave your preparation to this challenge for Christmas Day, it may happen, but due to the busyness of everything that kind of goes on, I bet you it gets overlooked. So this is what I am doing personally. So today, at some point, and I've already started it, I'm going to write myself a little prayer to the Lord, where I can go on Christmas Day before the manger, before Jesus, or before the tabernacle, whatever it might be, and pray. And this is what I've come up with so far. I said, Jesus, you know what? I'm just going to place myself at your disposal. I ask for your peace. I ask for your joy. I ask for the gift of wisdom, given my vocation right now and my position in my community, to do your will. And even though I have been very rebellious and I've served you with an undivided heart, help me to say yes again as Mary did so long ago when she agreed to be the Mother of God. I ask for your protection upon my brothers, my community. I ask for your blessing and protection upon my family, my godchildren, my friends. And that's where I've left it. I haven't finished it yet, but that's where I'm at. This I will write out and I will pray it before the Lord, hoping that I will make Christmas somewhat of a success story, right? Because making it a success depends on you, and it depends on me.